edition of the MSP Initiative MSP Talk. May, it's my favorite month. It's also my birthday month, but I love May. May's great. Actually, today, May 14th, 2026, the NFL schedule comes out. So for all you NFL fans, and don't fool yourself. There's a lot of us out there. You're watching, you're refreshing, you're trying to figure out what your schedule is going to be like on the back end of the year, like everybody else. So I'm right there with you. The Eagles are already put out some feelers, like we're going to be playing in London again this year. Just back in like in 2018, it was Eagles Jags. Switching stadiums, 2026 Eagles Jags, but at Tottenham instead of Wembley. So you can circle that in your October schedule, guys. But anyway, let me get some housekeeping out of the way, and then we'll get with our guests of the day, and we'll talk shop and see where we get. MSPinitiative.com. That's where you're going to find everything that we pretty much do in one place. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you to, and I'm going to list them in order here. 2 weeks ago, basically, we were in Vegas. Thank you to the Connect Global team and the Kaseya team for their awesome hospitality. That was our first time doing a block party for the MSP community in Vegas. For all the reasons that you would think, because Vegas is a hard place to do something of that size because Vegas is Vegas. But it worked out absolutely wonderfully. We couldn't have done it without the help of that team. So thank you, thank you, thank you very much for your help. And I hope everybody enjoyed themselves. All of the photo booth and professional photographer photos and videos of that block party are online, as well as the other parties I'm about to go backwards in time with. You can find them on our Facebook page. If you don't know our Facebook page, go to mspinitiative.com. It'll backlink you to it. So thank you to the Kaseya Connect Global team. Thank you to the Enable team. They had us at their event in Fort Lauderdale. We did a community party there. That was awesome. A little bit before then, we were in Orlando with the back in March with the Threat Locker team for Zero Trust World. Again, awesome hospitality, and thanks for working with all of these various event teams. They've been absolutely wonderful to work with, and putting on great experiences for the community is kind of our specialty. So we have two more coming up. We have one in Prague, yes, the place where the Pilsner beer is cheaper than water. So that's going to be in about a month from now in June in Prague. It is the European version of the Kaseya Global events that just happened in Vegas. And then right after that, looking forward to reconnecting with our good friends from Roost who run the Flow conference last year in Tampa, this year in Nashville. So looking forward to get down to Broadway and having a good time with MSPs and the larger community down there. So both of those events are posted on mspinitiative.com. And we're looking forward to seeing all of you in person if you make it out. Of course, we'll reset after both of those last two events, and we will talk about what happens on the back end of the year. If you remember, last year we did Channel Sports Tour. Probably going to do it again. It was awesome. So now that the NFL schedule is coming out, we can figure out what that looks like and talk about what happens after the end of June. Okay, that's all of my housekeeping. MSPinitiative.com. Yes, this session obviously is being recorded, and you're probably listening to it after the fact. All good. So make sure to like, subscribe, download, forward, share. It's all there on MSPinitiative.com under sessions. And without further ado, good friend who happened to stop by and get the George Philadelphia tour, which I'm told is I should put myself on like TripAdvisor and start getting some recommendations. Shay from Optimize 365. How you doing, my friend?
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you
How
very
how
much.
was how was the tour? Was it good? Did you like Philadelphia?
Wow. Amazing. The best of the best. I can't ask better than that, my friend. It was like, Philly in a nutshell. And it was a full day of experience, good food, history, great places. Great beer, one of the oldest places down, right? Amazing, amazing. So I'm the first voter on your trip advisor. So on me.
Well, yes, the George Philadelphia tour, if you happen to be coming through town and you shoot me a note, it is very food driven with a lot of history in there. People forget the country started in Philadelphia. Go back to
Yeah.
fourth grade history, I promise. It's in the textbook. But lots of cool places, but it's a very food driven town. So I like to make sure that we include all of that. And it's a very cool part of in time, right, in the area. The NFL draft was just in Pittsburgh, 5 hours on the other side of the state. But later on this month, the PGA Championship is in suburban Philadelphia. America 250, a lot of stuff happened in Philadelphia. FIFA World Cup happening, 8 games in Philadelphia. MLB All-Star Week in Philadelphia. It's just a lot of stuff happening in Philadelphia. It's a great time to be in town. So if you happen to be coming through for any of that, drop me a line and we'll try and make sure that you're taken care of. It's one of my favorite things to do. Anyway, thank you, Shy was at Kaseya in Vegas. And he's like, hey, let me just see if I can swing down as part of my, US tour here and get the Philly experience. And I was like, absolutely. Let me clear my schedule. Let's do it. So it was a good time. So I'm glad you made it in.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. So Shai is actually based out of Israel. So I'm glad you made it safe back home, by the way, because I know, like, we're at a part of the world where, crazy things are happening. So hopefully, still all good on that front, safe and all that stuff. Um, Shy, for people who have never heard your name or don't know what you do, let's just start off with a little bit of background so that we can set the table for everybody.
Sure. So, my name is Shai. Yeah, I'm out of Israel. It was a long trip, to the state and back home. My background it's around channel and telcos. I used to develop a lot of tools around that area. In the last few years, spending all of my time in the US channel market. Try to do the best as we can to change the world and make it better place for everyone. In our current company, Optimize 365, what we are doing is helping MSPs to turn Microsoft security into recurring revenue. So we build a multi-tenant platform that focusing about security configuration and posture management, help them covering and identify business opportunities. Around all the Microsoft configuration and posture management.
Okay, cool. Well, Microsoft is the big elephant in the room. Let's totally be clear about that. I think everybody who's running an IT services help desk or an MSP, a lot of Microsoft conversation. I guess they could be also be doing Google, but mostly Microsoft in my experience. I digress. So we will definitely get into that. One thing is for sure, nothing that anybody on this call controls is both of these guys, Microsoft and Google, sure love to change the price on you all the time. And
Yep.
that price never comes down. It seems to always go up.
Yeah. I think it's a huge problem because even the next month they're going to release Microsoft the new package. They call it E7, changing. It will go cost around $100
A
uh,
user.
per user per month, and some of feature will be moved from one package to another package. So I think it's gonna be a bit of a mess, but they're gonna add a great stuff too. But I think it's something that MSP should get ready and see actually how it will affect their current configuration, their current offering. Um, yeah, it's gonna be a thing.
Interesting. Like, I think, I don't know what your experience is. I'm sure you'll tell me in a second. But in my, experience, most of the MSPs that I talk to are largely doing like business basic or business premium. And like I know that it caps out at something like 250 users per account maximum. And like most of the companies they're dealing with aren't bigger than 250. And so when I talk to a lot of the MSPs, they're not on E1, E3, E5, and now E7. So I would be curious from your perspective, if you see the same thing. And number two, why would somebody consider going off of basic or premium to the higher tiers?
So I think it's more about, and first of all, and you're right. It's first, it's depend on the end client size because there's limitation around that. There are some people that do mixed licenses, even buying the plan one for from some mailboxes, standard, basic, do all of those combinations. But it's depend actually on your security stack. I mean, you can get E5 or E3 and you get more security coverage, but you can be with premium and you can buy an extra add-ons tools, right? For example, mail protection, maybe adding some backups, maybe depend, of course, don't get me on the specific word, but depend on the licenses. So what Microsoft trying to do here is like, based on our experience, they want to sell as grow as you buy as higher level of the licenses. This is where you have more security posture, security coverage. So what we are actually trying to identify is when we first log into a tenant, it's we map to all of the compliance frameworks, all the security controls, and we're telling you, okay, now your premium, this is the subset of controls that you can do. So if you want to have more security coverage, you maybe need to get a bigger, an higher license, or you can need to buy security add-ons that working alongside. And then as an MSP, the big question is margins, time of implementation, a lot of tools. So depends on how do you work and how big is your mature. I'm it's not the right way today to say big or small. It's how mature is your MSPs because we're working with one man show that doing amazing job on security, right? So yeah,
No, that's fair. I mean, at the end of the day, I think part of the reality is everybody's very cost conscious, right? And like as I mentioned, I think I just read, I could be wrong, double check me. I think I just read like Google just bumped up their cost by like 30%. They just announced a big price increase. Microsoft has another one coming in a couple months. That they announced at the end of last year. That's a, like, they keep moving the double digit percentage up every time they announce a price increase. And like people are, of course, from an MSP standpoint, who's in the middle of Microsoft and their end customer, right? Like they're in the middle of that sandwich. Oh, you just got to notify them, right? Hey, Microsoft's changed their pricing again. Google's changed their pricing again. This is just what it is. You feel free to go read here. It's on their website. And like, of course, there's the age old, well, what am I getting? Like, can I downgrade? Am I using all of this stuff?
yeah.
And I think a lot of MSPs tend to say, well, we can offset some of the things that Microsoft charges you in the higher tiers by using third-party products to check some boxes less expensive than if I went to the higher Microsoft plan. How often do you see that?
So a lot because what we are one of our assessment it's about enterprise application. So what we're seeing is not only the configuration, also all the third-party tools that connected to those accounts,
Mm.
right? And we saw a lot people, and it's not very often, but we're seeing a lot of people that having E3, but they buying another tool that E3 already covering, and they don't even know about it, right? And the big question is, let's assume that I want to have the third party, right? So does it overlap or it's give me an actually extra security layer? So it's quite depends. So and depend on the configuration and the offering and the maturity of the third party. So, but we saw it. I can tell you that. We're running right now a lot of tenants, a few dozen, thousands, and we saw so many variation of tenants, of course, from the end clients and the MSPs. But you can find anything. But the most of them didn't even realize that they don't even realize, sorry, that they double paying or even that they are, have, for simple example, you can have mail protection and you can have, configure your Microsoft and you even don't know where the email is blocked, right? If some, configuration make a problem to other the third party. So it's a thing, right? So that need to
So
take
that's
care
inter
of
so,
it.
so that's interesting. I am sure the end customer has most of the time no clue what they're
Okay.
buying, right? They just know their email works or their Teams works, right? Or Microsoft Word opens up. But for the MSP, the fact that they don't know what the customer's available services are in the SKU, and if they're buying a third-party tool that overlaps basically an on-off button on the customer, like that's where I know that unless all your like I know every MSP likes to have a standard, right? So that it's
Yeah.
not every, you can manage your customers more efficiently as a whole. But if they're using a third party product that A is double overlap in terms of cost, but B, could it be conflicting with the function of the overlap, right? And I think
Yep.
that's probably what's happening in a lot of cases.
Yeah. So and we saw that. So I can tell you that, for example, even things that happening, people lock themselves out of the Microsoft account. We saw those things, right? Because of not understanding the configuration. They believe that they did it in other tool, but for example, multi-factor authentication, right? They believe that they use third-party tool, but they disable something on Microsoft because they don't know how to do it on the right way. They found themselves logged out. And we help to solve those kind of problems when they appear because and it happens a lot. I can tell you that even here in Israel, we few of our clients, I can tell that looked we see it around once to three times a month tenants that locked out themselves because of don't understanding what they do, right? And you need to wait for Microsoft, and it's taking, I mean, it's taking some time. And now let's say it's even take you 5 hours, and I was very, and I was very generous with you. So your business not operate for 6 hours. How much it cost you, right? So I think again, you and I had a lot of conversation about it, and it's not only about paying for the tools, it's about paying for the hours as an MSP try to sell. It's what it's all around it, right? So
No, that's 100% true. I mean, this isn't a new thing, but it's still out there, and I hope a lot of MSPs are now paying attention to it. It's the Microsoft security score, right? Like where they basically say, hey, your goal is to get this as high as possible, and you don't want scores below a certain amount. But let's be honest, the if you turn on a brand new 365 account for someone, the security score is pretty low by default. Like they don't
right.
turn anything on for you in a lot of cases, Microsoft. So I feel like, and depending on how long that customer's been with you, they're left in different places, right? And like that whole standardization thing is all over the place. It's not really standard, other than yes, they have Microsoft, and yes, they could have the license that you want. But it doesn't mean that all of the buttons are turned on the correct way across all your customers. And I feel like the problem is that most of the time, they don't realize that something is wrong until a major problem occurs,
Yep.
right? Like maybe they did something by mistake and they go and look, but largely, in my experience, an event happened, something broke, somebody complained about something, and then they went backwards and said, "Oh, well, this wasn't set up right, or this wasn't turned on right, or it was turned on in the beginning, but somewhere along the line something got changed, and we don't know exactly when, and then a problem occurred." So this is what I think's happening day to day.
Yeah, I can tell you from today's story that we are on board one of our MSP with one of his client. It was, can't say funny, right? But it was, it was very, hard to see that because he was believed that he buy premium to his client, and he was sure that, I have a premium, so I'm secure. So during the onboarding process, so what we're teaching, by the way, our partners, it's like when you buying Microsoft don't help you to secure not secure your environment when you buy the license. You need to do it by yourself, right? And what was funny again, funny to see, it's like he believed that he have premium account, and we identify during that onboarding process few attacks that were running because they forget to disable the sign-in account of people that are left, and they don't have an MFA on the account, and they didn't even know about it, right? But could be solved easily with the right configuration, for example, conditional access, do some processes, all of those stuff. But people don't realize, not I can't say all of them, but some people don't realize that they're really sure, oh, I checked the box because I bought the premium, but you didn't enable none of that. So how do you secure? You have the capability, but it's not configured yet. So
Okay,
yeah.
so let me ask you this. Like MSP comes to you, hypothetical. They say, I'm managing 50 customers, almost all of them Microsoft. Would love to understand the health of all of my customers. I can sign into your platform. Can you give me a report? And
Mhm.
like, what's the average score? How maybe you can explain to us what it is, but what's the average position that you're finding these MSPs and their accounts are in when they get to you?
And this is the funny story that what we realize, right? So when we ran the scan, we ran it against again some benchmarks, right? So most of them, even they have secure score. I can tell you based on our, mappings, only 55 control out of 200 from the benchmarks are mapped to secure score. So what does it mean? That if you are 100% secure score coverage, you still have around 30%, 30 to 40% out of the real benchmark of security. So
So
we
hold on,
I tell
time
you,
out. So Microsoft Secure Score is just a minimum, is what you're saying.
I'm saying that they're giving a lot of great opportunities, a lot of great controls. It's a lot more than, but not all of them really map based on what we tested and checked, and we have those maps on our platform to the real benchmark, to the real security and compliance benchmark.
Oops.
So I say that if you're 100% secure score, again, based on what our mappings, it could be wrong, I don't know, but so far it seems to be accurate. Um, it seems that you need to have a lot of other things to do. So for your answer, we saw 20 to 40% coverage of security, even if you're a good one. So we have MSPs that we run an assessment with. They tell, oh, we are 100% on Microsoft. I mean, we do all the things, and they get into the platform, they run into the assessment, and they see a 40, 50% coverage if you're amazing. And it's all of that. It's not because they're not following the right, what tell them to do. It's because we don't believe that they're following the right stuff and what is on the real time, what is, sorry, on the real what the real client needs. Because even if you follow the benchmarks and so forth, it's not what happens in life, right? Even for, let's take an example, HIPAA, or let's say take an example, NIST, right? You're following one of the controls for one tenant, it's maybe not the same result or not the same way that you handle another client because of the way of the end client is operate, right?
Right.
So we, of course, we learn during our development and everything, working a lot with with our MSPs, do those changes and adoptions, not because we are smart, because we just listen and we develop based on what we learned during this. But yeah, it was long answer to your short
No,
question.
no, it's good.
So
It's good. I mean, this is good context. So MSPs come to you. You're like, hey, let's understand what your baseline is across all your customers, and then you need to tell us: is this a doctor and they have HIPAA? Is this a financial company and maybe they have, SOX and other ones, right? Are you CMMC because you're in the government supply chain? Like all of these different compliances are different, across individual customers. So like, there's the baseline, and then there's industry specific ones. But all that being said, you're saying you're finding a lot of MSPs have a really low, percentage in terms of, hey, this is where you really should be, and this is what we're finding you when you walk in the door. And so that means that no matter what Microsoft's putting out, it's either not being followed, and even if it was 100%, and I don't find many people with 100% security score. I'm just gonna be honest. It's
so do
very
I.
rare in my
Yeah,
experience. That's really not 100% of what needs to be done.
yeah. Based on our research and working with our MSPs, right? Um, Maybe someone can say other thing, I don't know, but based on we working with more than 150 MSPs and all of them, I believe, align with those statements and mappings. But
Got it. That's interesting. So, so how many people are coming to you after a problem has occurred?
oh, this is a good one. So it depends actually, how it works. It depends when we are get them. So I mean, when we are actually, talk to them. Again, there are some clients, sorry, there are some MSPs that their clients add the security, they compromise in security. For example, breach because of an, unconfigured MFA and those kind of things that they say, "Oh, I wish I had that tool before, week ago. I could prevent that." Um, but some of them right now start realize because of all Microsoft changes, that they need to do that and they're not following because they are asked by their clients, does my environment is secure? Does my 365 is configured correctly? So what's going on there? Not to all of the end clients, right? But the mature ones and the bigger ones, we see that a lot. But we have a few, not a lot, for those that were compromised and because of misconfiguration, and we just get them right on that point that was after that effect. And we try to help them and we show them how we can prevent that, and or how we can try to identify and alert you during that the problem has happened, or during this hacker that try to sign into one of the accounts. I can tell you that one of our MSPs, it's a funny story. It connect our platform to one of his prospects, and during a day after, the end client start to get alert because he enabled that about someone to try to sign into his account and then even didn't know about it. So this is how we closed the deal, by the way. So it was
It's a
no
good
right.
tip.
So it's dependent on the situation, but yeah,
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, time is everything, right? I mean,
everything.
usually like everything, I use the analogy of, hey, you're very happy you had car insurance, other than you legally should have car insurance in a lot of places. You're very happy you had car insurance after the accident, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
like if you didn't have insurance and you get into an accident, it's not a good day. So, kind of applies here, right? Like when did you crash your car? But I digress. That's George trying to, put something common to it. So maybe zoom out a little bit for us. So we've we've heard bits and pieces so far. We're 30 minutes in. Um, your platform is about Microsoft and Microsoft security around the 365 suite of products. Is there
yeah.
anything that your platform does separate of 365?
Yeah, so we like to split it into four pillars actually, and that we helping with security configuration and hardening.
Mhm.
Then we monitoring that. Then we have the security posture, which is human identity, non-human identity. The third pillar will be threat detection, and the fourth one is how do you utilize the licenses to make more money out of that. So underuse, overutilize based on our agent that he learned the environment and then suggest that you, oh, this user can do this and that, or maybe you can upgrade it, maybe storage is close to limit and stuff. And all of those, I explain you all of that because all of those four pillars in the next few months going to be worked to to an extra actually environments like Azure, Google, and another one because our big dream is showing to MSPs actually this is our vision, a single dashboard that you can see security coverage against margins. This is why actually our company it's called Optimize Security, and this specific tool, we called it Optimize 365. You're going to have a lot of another optimize along the way, but this is our big dream because I believe based on a lot of calls, we have a lot of mutual friends, a lot of calls that we had, and I believe this is, again, my dream to build. I like to build platforms, so I think this is where we are going to. Um, so in the next few months, you will see Azure, Google, and a few others. Right now, we're focusing on Microsoft because at 365, because man, it's a lot to do there. It's a lot. They have tons of things there,
And,
but they do an amazing job. Don't get me wrong, right?
no,
Just need steering
I
the wheel correctly.
No, 100%. I mean, I would almost go to, it sounds like you may already have this in your platform, but it's like the utilization of the plan that you have, right? And I would say if you have it, and it sounds like you do, but I'll let you answer in a second, the end customer's utilization of a business premium subscription, for example, is probably low. Like they may only be using 15% of what it is that Microsoft's bundling. And I don't even think they realize that because I don't think, nobody goes to look and see, well, every month Microsoft adds this or that, and they keep adding, adding, adding. They just know that I call it the plumbing, right? They have their Teams, their Outlook, their Office productivity suite, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, etc., and their email. And that's it. Like, as long as those things are running, that's what they think Microsoft is for 365.
Yeah. And it's only because they're releasing a lot of feature all the time and people can't follow, right? They don't know actually what they're covering it. People keep buying tools that maybe it's covered already by Microsoft, right? And you know, I'm going for the other side of so the opposite. But
Yeah, so like if I'm an MSP, that you heard the trick earlier. It's like, hey, if your customer's in the middle of being, you know, potentially compromised, like somebody's trying to get into the front door, being able to tell them, hey, you're having a problem right now. Just wanted to let you know. Here you go. It's a pretty good way to get a client, but also another good way to get a client is, hey, we scanned your environment, just trying to get an idea of what you guys are doing, and like you're using 9% of your subscription right now. Like, what
right,
does that mean? It's like, well, here are all your users, and like you're only using three things, and here are all the other things that you have that you didn't even know you had. So, bottom line is maybe we could, what else do you have outside of Microsoft? Maybe you can consolidate, like instead of using a third-party booking tool, there's Microsoft Bookings. Instead of using, all these like, well, Dropbox, you have OneDrive, right? Like all of these consolidating points, right? Like maybe there's cost savings there, or maybe it's, hey, when your renewal comes up for Microsoft, maybe you can downgrade because you don't need most of this stuff.
You're right.
Like that's awesome when it comes to being viewed as somebody who's being helpful rather than somebody who's just a cost.
You're right. And I believe in that way when MSP try, have that explanation and during a QBR, have all of this AMO during this, this one of those meetings, it's a different discussion, I believe. It's a different way they know how the end client look at it as an MSP because it's not you're not professional. I believe again, this is another philosophy that I have in mind based on of my research is like, it's all even for us, right? When we're developing tools and all of, doing as a technical guys, it's not all the time that easy to explain the value that we are, providing from a business perspective because from our eyes, of course, I'm saving you time. I do for you that. I fix you that. Without me, your business will not work tomorrow, right? But all that and the hardest thing is I can't say again it's try to explain it to the client from the business side, and I believe this is again comes to the our big dream is how to translate all of those into valuable business thing, discussion, and not only technical and one single dashboard that we show you everything. Again,
Okay, I like that. So, do you just work with MSPs or do you work with end customers as well?
only MSPs.
Okay, awesome. And you've built a multi-tenant platform because you only work with MSPs because that's the way they need it anyway. Awesome.
Exactly.
Um, and I think I heard you say earlier like something like, yeah, 150 MSPs you're working with right now.
Yeah.
But the company's still newish.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not a bad thing. Yeah, it's good. So, um, how do people like, is there a trial? Is there a commitment? Where do they find, like how do they interact with you from a business standpoint?
So what they need to do is only to log in to this website, optimize365.io,
Hmm.
and no credit card, nothing, just logged into the register, and you have NFR, 3 scans for free to a client. You don't need to pay when you win a deal. You can put a credit card and start paying for the rest of the platform. Everything is open. Which again, I told you, I learned a lot in the last few years in the channel. You must be channel committed, I mean, to make it really successful, right? It's not about getting the first dollar, it's about showing the first value fast as you can, do it easy. Um, and this is, again, the way we built all of that based on just listening to people, test it before you pay for it. If it's worked for you, win the first deal with the client, then you pay for it. Easy as that, right? So,
Okay, I like it. Let's zoom out to the greater industry talk because that was all cool. And I think a lot of people will take a look and, hey, if you don't know what's out there, it can't help you. But I love things that make it easier for MSPs, number one. Number two, companies that get the IT MSP channel, right? Like I say that, and so many people think they know, but I'm not sure that they do. And then three, I love the ability to go in and surprise someone in a good way, right? And so that always helps getting customers. And I think MSPs can always, use a bunch of tricks or tools in order to do that, deliver a really good experience in your prospective phase. I digress.
yeah.
Um, Zooming out, what do you have to say about the Claude Mythos platform? What have you heard? Is it like a unicorn, like imaginary, or is it real? Should we be worried about it? What do you know?
Ah, the $1 billion question, my friend. Look, we're playing around with it. Don't. I'm not gonna lie. I believe that we are still far away from make it, 100% work because again, all of that need to understand the context, right? Of it's not only about the one configuration. It's the context takes time to learn, based on what we are seeing, of course. And even we try to use that and asking some questions and do some things and configurations and all of the things, it's still, again, based on our experience, it's still a bit. It's good, right? But I think it need to get more better. But if we will get it to be the way it's like other people developing mature tools, uh, it's gonna be mind blowing, right? It's crazy. It's crazy.
Well,
But
I'm definitely concerned with the people using it to be, like find vulnerabilities and now using it as and effectively a bad guy getting access to the same technology that everybody else does in order to speed up bad guy things.
yeah, you're right. This is crazy. This is crazy. And I think it comes to all of those, new startup that we're seeing that will right now on stealth, and we are seeing it, here in Israel, we have any other person here every security startup. So most of them are on stealth, but people trying to solve this problem that you just mentioned, right? So imagine you can be a hacker and you can get the mythos and try, hack to all the world, right? So they're theoretically, again, of course, there are some limitation and stuff, right? But um, yeah, we're gonna see a lot of people that try to, a lot of companies, sorry, that will try to prevent those things based on what I believe again. Um, but it's yeah, yeah, it's going to be wild.
Yeah, I'm definitely concerned that, we had before AI was the hot topic. Cybersecurity was all, you saw it every other conversation, every other booth at a trade show.
Yeah,
And but I feel like even the things that were done post COVID until now, right? Like the accepted, here's the tools that you need in place, here's what you should do baseline as an MSP. I feel like this next wave of things just blows by that in a bad way, meaning like if the bad guys are warp speeding to a vulnerability, warp speeding through a backdoor you didn't know about, it's a public thing. It's in every, version of XYZ product. The
yeah,
MSP is going to have a hard time keeping up with that. I mean, and then of course, what naturally happens is something bad occurs, and then the end customer points the finger at the MSP saying, "Hey, you said you were protecting me, you weren't, and now I had an event." And the MSP is like, "Hold on a second. The manufacturer of XYZ solution was responsible for protecting their tool. And if they had something that left this door open, like you got to be reasonable. That's not my fault, right?"
yeah,
Unfortunately, when this conversation is, but it was Microsoft 365 and you were responsible for protecting Microsoft 365 and the door was left wide open, you get this chicken and egg problem. Was this a vulnerability that Microsoft missed, or was this a configuration item that the MSP missed?
you're right. I agree.
How do you like it's a hot in the moment, information is really important, timely there because if you can't defend yourself with your customer, that customer at work at least is gonna leave,
Yeah.
probably. At worst, may sue you, may come after you, civilly.
Yeah, and I can tell you that again, what we are seeing, it's like in some cases, MSPs need to sell it to the end client because and client think when we see that a lot, when an MSP sell like Microsoft licenses, the end client 100% sure that you're going to configure the entire security about license, this specific license, right? We
They
see
just
that a lot.
assume that you're
They
doing that,
assume,
right?
right? But man, it's out of the budget. You know what it's mean to configure security when you're buying a premium account, man? I don't think it's part of the license agreement, right? Part of our agreement or the MSP agreement, master agreement, doesn't matter which agreement that you have, right? It's unless you pay an extra for that. And in most cases, and this is what we see a lot, it's like MSPs selling a premium license, standard, doesn't matter, and they still have a gap of those misconfiguration, and the end client tell them, you need to, I don't gonna pay you for that, you need to do that. And I think it's about, again, it's about more about business side of things and education, or I don't care, tell if, even if it's education, just sign the right contract. um and we saw those things a lot, and then comes to the question, if there is a breach occurred during the misconfiguration, right? So whose fault is? Does it the MSP or the end client that didn't want to pay for that? Or he didn't, or he thought, or he assumed that he's already covered because he bought a premium account, right? So it's a question.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like, and again, I always try and take things and bring it to the real world, right? If you go to the supermarket, you buy something off the shelf, and then you get sick, is it the supermarket's fault or is it the manufacturer of that can of whatever food you bought? I'm
Right.
sure if you're, a litigious, pesky lawyer, you're going to sue everybody and see who what sticks. But at the end of the day, if the MSP could say, "Hey, I configured everything properly. Here's the report that shows everything was set at this time, and here we can prove that you were secure." This goes back to, and hypothetical here, a Microsoft bug or vulnerability that affects everybody has nothing to do with the configuration of your account. There is a known problem with their software that they needed to fix, and it was a 0 day thing that everybody found at the same time. That's a lot. If every MSP could defend that in the moment, they'd be in a much different position than, hey, I don't know. Because I
Right.
don't know is never a good answer in that case.
Yeah, agree.
So I think part of the problem, and I probably should have asked this earlier, I'm gonna ask it now, is hey, how do you know? Maybe this is the detection part you were mentioning earlier. It was good at this point, and then something changed, right? Like the setting was enabled when we turned it on, but a month later it was disabled. When and by who? Like that type of information is really important because it's the first question that's asked when there's a problem. Well, who did that and when did it break? Or when was it turned off? Or why did
Yeah.
it happen? And it's like, well, I don't know. Susie went in and turned that off, and I don't know why Susie did that. Let's go ask her. Like, that's the type of thing that usually, if you can't get to that point quickly, it usually doesn't go well.
Yeah, and you're right. We have that, and we called it on our platform drifts. So, and we alert of those things just to try to prevent those things before they happen. Because if a misconfiguration happened, and again, you don't want to wait until it will be compromised, right? You want to figure it out in a minute that it was misconfigured again. So, definitely.
Yeah.
It's what I believe. And then let me tell you that what happens if you thought, right, that you configure something correctly, but Microsoft decided to move this configuration to E5. So under your premium account,
Oh, wow. I didn't
you
even
are
think about this.
and now if you had a premium and you sure 100% that that you cover some security control, but it's moved to be on E3 or E5, you're not secure anymore in this particular one. How do you know that? Right. So,
That's really important because at the end of the day, um, like any software, SaaS company, whatever, right? Microsoft could just single-handedly decide, we have now made this a separate SKU, right? Or,
yeah,
hey, this feature is available, but you have to upgrade. And they are constant, like if you follow the Microsoft, admin center, it's like 1,000 alerts a month, man. Like it's really, really hard to keep up with all of their changes because there's so many, right? But
yeah,
imagine you didn't find out until after the fact that something that was there has now been moved, in like we said, the next Microsoft change comes up in June, I think. It's only a
yeah.
month and change from now. All of a sudden, it's like, hey, guess what? This, and this are no longer available in Business Premium. Oops. Right? Like, that's a problem. And so, how does your platform alert people that that change has happened?
So what we develop behind the scenes, it's like agentic AI. That what it is. It's actually one of the most knowledgeable professional, guy around Microsoft 365. That we scan all the time Microsoft changes, and we have more than few hundreds of tenants with a different combination of licenses. And if something change, we know that and we update and we alert to all of our clients immediately. And we update our controls, update all the configuration stack and all of that. So immediately. So we are aware of that because before all the AI came out, never you could do those kind of things. I mean, building script that's scrapping and do some stuff. Whew, it was nuts. And using the API right now, when you have all the MCP stuff and all of those things, and you run it on tests environment, it's I can't say it's easy, it's hard, but you need to know how to do it on the right way. So yeah, we are learning to all of our clients around that all the time when it comes change. Um, and also about the security that happens to them. It's not only, oh, Microsoft did the change, it's also how it's affect them and their clients.
Yeah,
And yeah.
no, 100%. It'll be interesting to see as we move forward.
Mhm.
Because I did, I did hear some people who are like, man, Microsoft's getting really expensive. Got to look for alternatives. And some people jump to Google. So, Blue Moon event. They're like, oh, I'm going to try Zoho One. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Good luck. But I think I hear a lot of MSPs trying to figure out how to downgrade their licenses and use third-party products to offset the increase, right? And I feel like that's common because in order, let's say Microsoft, to your point, moves something from business premium to E5 or E7 now or E3, right? Like this is an expensive jump. They're like, hey, I can get the same thing if I downgrade to business premium or downgrade to business standard and then add these third-party products to offset what I'm losing from Microsoft. So and then the other problem is Microsoft has also become the identity platform to sign into all these other platforms, right? So like using your Azure credentials, your 365 username to, do your single sign-on into, could be 1,000 different places. So now all of a sudden we have this, kind of sprawl of things, right? It's like, hey, I'm trying to save money. I'm using third-party tools, but I also understand that this is the gateway into a lot of things. How do I make sure my third-party products and Microsoft are fitting my control gap? And this is where it gets very, hard to follow because where Microsoft could have a single SKU that covers all these controls, like you're saying, they could be displacing those Microsoft features with like three, five, eight, 10 different products.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know how they keep track of it all because
it's
it's a
hard.
lot of moving parts.
You're right. It's hard. It's very hard to do that because it's not only about the pricing and licensing, it's also about the security coverage, right? So you still don't know all of that, and it's very difficult. And we see, MSPs do that. They buying the basic and the standard and have a lot of third party, but again, they need to configure all of that eventually, and they need to manage all of that and maintain all of that, and in some cases do the configuration and the integration between all the tools to understand the full picture. And then you need to go, if security alerts come, you need to make sure that you have a SIEM soak or stuff like that. So it's it's a question. It's how much you raise your MSPs, how many employees do you have, how much money your end clients will pay you for all of those management things. If you want to have best of breed, or do you want just check the box, right? It depends.
Now, it's a
Um,
very big depends for sure. And I think one of the big challenges zooming out, kind of to the whole topic is I think a lot of MSPs, when they read the marketing of a particular product or a particular service, maybe not fully understand what the coverage is of that particular product or tool, right? They just assume that the marketing is 100%. And then they go put it in thinking, all right, I'm good. Check box, all set. And they find out,
uh,
yeah, that's not really what you thought it was. And that's, you really left yourself wide open.
yeah, you're right.
And I feel like, and I'm not trying to blame or target anyone, but a lot of marketing out there. How many times did you say, oh, this is so good? And then you get into it, you're like, where's all the stuff that you said you had? Like it's not here. Or, oh, that is our highest plan where all that stuff is. And you bought the basic one on this third party tool. You don't have access to this, and this you saw in this ad.
You're right. I can tell you when all the AI buzz things went out, so I paid to most of them, right? So many, and because I thought, oh, this is good for this is good for that, this is good, without mentioning any names, I can tell you that after 1 month of playing with many of them, I left with only one or two. Because as I mentioned, the marketing were amazing, but when you start playing with them, oh man, it was not that good. Let's say it in that way.
And so I think this is the challenge, not just about security coverage, just generally in the MSP space. Like, hey, we've all bought stuff that didn't work. And, I feel like every 6 months, like January, June, December, people look at their credit card bill and they figure out, all right, what am I using? What am I not? That kind of thing. But at the end of the day, it's just hard to keep up with all of these vendors and what they're supposed to be doing and all of their updates. And so I think that, unless you can scale it well, is probably the best way to say it. It's
Yeah,
not just the initial part of it, it's the ongoing part of it, knowing if it's all doing what it's supposed to be doing before a problem occurs. Call it a check engine light for lack of a better description. If you don't have that visibility, probably not good.
yeah,
100%.
agree.
Shy, where are we going to see you? You plan to go to any other industry events, or did you get your US tour out of the way for the year?
No, no, yeah, I will be, I think, in July or and in September, and maybe on October too. We still figured out where to go. In the next few days, I believe I will have a better understanding which event we will go. We're working with our marketing about it, just see, because in one trip, it's not only going to event, it's also visiting some client, visiting some MSPs, visiting some partners, and we just try to figure it out. But every
Gotta
trip,
maximize your trip. Totally get it.
yeah, as much people as we can to meet, to see, to say hi, to hang out. Me, I love to make fun and having fun. So yeah,
100%. Awesome. Well, looking forward to hearing when you're coming back. Of course, you're always
appreciate you.
welcome here to Philadelphia. We always love to have you if you have time. Uh, guys, check out optimize365.io. It sounds like there's going to be other optimized links at some point, but that's the one for 365. And I think everybody's dealing with it if you're in the IT or managed services space, mostly. So check that out. Sounds like you could run the product for free before you have them to buy anything, which I'm sure is what everybody thinks is going to happen anyway. But like the guy's giving it away, let me prove it to you, right? So that I can earn your business. I love that. So check out optimize365.io. You can find, and by the way, if you're listening to the audio version of this, Shy, you can find him online. His name is spelled Shay. I know that it's hard to capture that in the pronunciation. Shay, last name Cohen. Hit him online, you'll find him. I talk to him all the time, especially on LinkedIn. You can find him there. Looking forward to running into you again in person, my friend. I know,
Thank
like,
you.
it's crazy that we're already in May and like the year is just absolutely going by on warp speed. For everyone else, this session was absolutely recorded. Shai he's been around the industry for a long time, even though he's in Israel, right? It's a global market now, and he works with a lot of the people in the sandbox all over the place, including most, in North America where I'm at. But definitely drop him a line. He's a smart guy. He's been around the space for a long time. He's really good at security. Even if this has nothing to do with his solution, this guy will talk to you about anything. That's the best part I love about him. So check him out and hit him online. For everyone else, I can't wait to see you. Hopefully on the European side, guys, we're gonna be there in Prague in in about a month. And on the U.S. side, looking forward to getting to Nashville. I know it's summertime. Hopefully it's not too hot, but Nashville's always a good time. So check us out on mspinitiative.com. Shy, good luck to you, my
Thank you.
friend. Catch you on the flip side.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. See ya.